Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ Namaste, friends. Greetings on the auspicious occasion of Gita Jayanti. It was on this day, the Ekadashi tithi of the Shukla paksha of the Margashirsha month, over 5,000 years ago, that Bhagavan Lord Krishna imparted the greatest knowledge to Arjuna. What is the Bhagavad Gita? Literally translated as the Song of God, the Bhagavad Gita is primarily a moksha shastra, enlightening us about the ultimate goal of this human birth and giving us the means to attain it. The Gita is a foundational text. It systematically and emphatically establishes the very basics of our identity, existence, the world around us, and the Almighty God. It is a veneration of Yogeshwara Krishna and Dhanurdhari Arjuna and the timeless wisdom revealed through their dialogue on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Next slide, sir. The Gita is considered as the greatest scriptural and spiritual text of all time. A few reasons about why this text is considered so great are listed. Firstly, the Gita is a complete guide for a spiritual seeker. As mentioned, it shows the ultimate human goal of moksha, that is freedom from suffering, and also gives us the intermediary step in all detail with the sadhanas required to get there. And it does so in multiple ways. Secondly, it summarizes the best of our glorious scriptures. The Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Puranas are vast and voluminous. The Bhagavad Gita gives us their essence in an engaging conversational format, telling us about who we are, the origin of the universe, how karma works, and most importantly, who God is. The Bhagavad Gita helps us become the finest human beings. The sadhanas prescribed on the way to moksha gives us direction each day to lead a life of compassion and contribution to society. Though our spiritual quest is personal, the beneficiaries are many. It teaches us mind mastery. The whole world is but in our mind. The Gita is not just a spiritual guide, but also a step-by-step personality development workbook to master our thoughts and thereby our actions. This leads to better outcomes in all walks of our lives. The Bhagavad Gita gives us stability and strength in our toughest times. Arjuna was the mightiest warrior on the battlefield, and he was the one who put down his bow and arrow, refusing to fight. Krishna infuses confidence and lifts Arjuna's morale from the depths of delusion to a crystal clear understanding of the situation at hand, paving the way for victory. Similarly, when we face a decision paralysis or when emotions cloud our intellect, Krishna's direction to anchor onto our higher nature clears up our mind and gives us the courage to do the right thing. Finally, the Bhagavad Gita gives us humility in success. The Gita teaches us that there is nothing other than God in the world. We learn to acknowledge and be grateful for God's grace in every effort and its result. This keeps us grounded and helps us focus on the next step ahead. Perhaps no other single text can combine all of the above and so eloquently. That's what makes the Gita extraordinary. And the Gita has its own magic. Let's see what it is in the next slide. The Bhagavad Gita is amazingly understood by beginner seekers and advanced seekers alike. Its magic lies in the way it reveals its secrets, ever so slowly, so deliberately, each layer unfolding according to the student's mental preparedness. And it is only a guru who makes this possible. There are so many books, commentaries, and summaries of the Gita, but knowledge transfer only takes place through a guru. Every new Shravanam from our Guru gives us new insights about our own selves and the world, leading to more maturity in our day to day interactions. The more we learn, the more we want to learn. Probably nothing else can explain why we're here today. On this note, we begin today's Gita Jayanti special session by chanting the Gita Dhyana Shlokas, a set of 9 prayer verses usually studied before commencing the study of the Bhagavad Gita. They were composed by the great Acharya Madhusudhan Saraswati before he wrote a commentary called Gudartha Deepika. The name itself wonderfully translates to a lamp which illumines the hidden and deeper meaning of the Bhagavad Gita. Through these prayer verses, we invoke the grace of the Lord to ward off the obstacles that may come and successfully complete our study. I invite young Anant Kulkarni to chant the Gita Dhyana Shlokas for us. Anant, please.
हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवतां नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् वसुदेव सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयधृतजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवतिकृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोतीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरहः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमला प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैर्गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततग्धतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, dear Anand, for letting your innocent bhakti set the tone for today's session. Being filled with childlike wonder is an essential quality for every spiritual seeker. Krishna has enthralled everyone around him from when he was a child, showing his mother Yashoda the entire cosmos in his mouth, dancing on the Kaliya serpent, and lifting the Govardhana mountain. When he grew up, he weaved his magic with the gopis. Our next song is a yearning song by a gopi who says that her mind is flowing like the waves upon hearing Krishna play his flute. Alai Payude. The song is composed by Sri Ootukadu Venkata Subba Iyer in Kannada Raga and set to Aditala. To present this popular Carnatic song, I welcome Miss Kritika Govind. Kritika is a civil engineer by profession and a music enthusiast, having performed in various fora in Karnataka and the United States. Kritika Govind, please.
அலைபாயுரே கண்ணா என் மனம் அலைபாயுதே ஆனந்த மோகன வேணுகான மதில் அலைபாயுரே கண்ணா என் மனம் அலைபாயுதே உன்னானந்த மோகன வேணுகான மதில் அலைபாயுதே கண்ணா நிலை பெயராது சிலை போலவே நின்று நிலை பெயராது சிலை போலவே நின்று நேரமாக தரியாமல் மிக வினோதமான முரளிதர நேரமாவதறியாமல் மிக வினோதமான முரளிதர என் மனமலை பாயுதே கண்ணா தெளிந்து நிலவு பட்ட பகல் போல் எரியுதே கானம் காற்றில் வருகிறதே கண்கள் சோதகி ஒரு விதமாய் வருகிறதே கண்கள் சோதகி ஒரு விதமாய் வருகிறதே கதித்த மனத்தில் உரத்தி பதத்தை எனக்கு அளித்த மகிழ்த்தவாம் கதித்த மனத்தில் உரத்தி பதத்தை எனக்கு அளித்த மகிழ்த்தவாம் ஒரு தனைத்த வனத்தில் அனைத்து எனக்கு உணர்ச்சி கொடுத்த முகிழ்த்தவா தனைத்த மனத்தில் அனைத்து எனக்கு உணர்ச்சி கொடுத்த முகிழ்த்தவா தனை கடலையினில் கதிர முளையினை இணைர கடலென கழித்தவாம் கலை கடலையினில் கதிர முளையினை இணைர கடலென கழித்தவாம் கதறி மனமுருகினான் அழிக்கவோ இரமாதனுடன் நீ கழிக்கவோ கதறி மனமுருகினான் அழிக்கவோ இரமாதனுடன் நீ அழிக்கவோ இத தகுமோ இத முறையோ இத தர்மம் தானோ இத தகுமோ இத முறையோ இத தர்மம் தானோ குழலோதிடும் பொழுது ஆடிடும் குழைகள் போலவே மினத வேதனை மிக உண்டாலே ஆயுடே கண்ணாய மனமிது அலை பாயுதே உன்னானந்த மோகன வேணுகான மதிலனை பாயுதே கண்ணா
Thank you very much, dear Kritika, for filling the air with the waves of your melodious singing. Thank you. Krishna is much loved as an Ishtadevata for his cuteness as a naughty boy and as a romantic lover of the gopis, as a protector of the Pandavas, and most importantly, for all of us spiritual seekers, as Gita Acharya. There have been many ancient philosophies around the world which have survived the test of time, but the Bhagavad Gita stands out for its practicality, drawing from the infinite grace and power of Lord Krishna himself. To help us understand the greatness of the Bhagavad Gita and its relevance in the present and future, we have with us Sri Mysore Madhusudhan, a person who has walked the talk. Madhu Sir is a telecom industry veteran, a global digital transformation leader, and strategic advisor to governments and companies, all the time remaining a committed spiritual seeker and a yoga practitioner. I invite Madhu Sir, please.
Thank you, Panaga. Gurubhyo Namah. Before we go into discussing the greatness of Bhagavad Gita we heard so far and its relevance, what is it in store for us for today and for the future, let's look at the narrative and why it is considered such a critical divine song to our life and day-to-day understanding. Swami Paramarthanandaji, in his various lectures and commentaries, starts with origin of our culture itself. Our culture is considered a Vedic culture. A Vedic culture happens to be the religious culture, which in turn is a God-centered culture. And we would appreciate here that life and religion are intertwined. In our culture, God plays a very, very important role. Our day starts with remembrance of the God, which is associated with Suprabhatam. Not only the beginning of the day, our day is associated with God throughout the day. Before we step our foot on the ground, we chant Samudra Vasane Devi. While taking bath, we chant Gange Chayamune Chaiva. And as the day prolongs, going into the sleep, we chant Ramaskandam. Similarly, our entire life, right from conception, starts with the remembrance of the Lord. Ultimately, the cremation is also offering the body to the Agni Devata. Thus, from conception to cremation is God-centered life. So is waking to sleep in a day. If I move on to the next chart, however, what happens in our worldly interaction, we are busy developing new relationships, everything at the cost of the relationship, the fundamental relationship with the Lord. To nourish these relationships and to continue and keep reminding about our fundamental relationships, the scriptures prescribe varieties of religious practices. But in the age where no one has time nor the patience to understand the scriptures, Lord Krishna says in the 4th chapter, the scriptures are very vast. It takes enormous time to understand the same. As he says, Ananta Shastram, Bahuveditavyam, plenty to study, and the Shastra are many. Alpascha Kalaha, very, very limited time. Bahavascha Vighnaha, obstacles are many. Etsara Bhutam Tadupasitavyam. Basically, what Krishna says here is if you don't have time to study all, but you should find time to study them, the essence at least. That essence is the one which brings in here through Bhagavad Gita. As you see it in the next chart, as we all know, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the divine song of the Lord, occurs in the Bhishma Parva of the Mahabharata and comprises of 18 chapters. If the Upanishads are the textbooks of philosophical principles, discussing the relation between man, world, and the God, Gita could be considered a handbook of instructions as to how every human being can come to live the subtle philosophical principles of Vedanta. As they say, religion is a philosophy in action. From time to time, an ancient philosophy needs intelligent interpretation or reinterpretation in the context of new times. And Vyasa, who other than Vyasa could have been done this, who is such a visionary, who had the vast vision of the past and the great imagination for the future, which he effectively brought out in this context. As we move into the next chart, the question rises, how is it relevant today? We would notice Bhagavad Gita starts with the Dhyana Sloka. We just heard beautifully chanted by Anant in the beginning. It's our usual tradition to pray to the Lord prior to beginning of any auspicious undertaking, whether it is spiritual or whether it is any social event. These 9 stanzas, which are attributed to Sri Madhusudhan Saraswati, is chanted by each one of the student, each one of the seeker of Bhagavad Gita. Why is it? If we can contextualize to this today's world, in modern research laboratories, as you would see, a scientist, a senior scientist, might have his assistant who would adjust the eyepieces of the microscope for him, and yet it would be suited for the himself, the person who did. Since there would be subtle differences in the finer adjustments, it has to be made by the scientist himself. Similarly, general methods of our sadhana, the fire of anxiety, or the need with which the urgency is felt for the seekers of Gita may adjust the instruments of the feelings and the thoughts, but an integration with mind and the intellect still remains to be achieved. This fine adjustment is gained by seekers by singing these 9 stanzas, dhyana slokas, through which the appreciation of their full significance and its importance, and hence the import what we could get of Gita is achieved. As I move into the last chart, amongst many instances, one such relevance we can narrate is how Gita is ready to consume from the complex Upanishads. Just like the raw materials, like experiences of the ordinary day-to-day life, came out in the form of Upanishadic mantras from the great seers out of their amplified vision. Gita brings us to enumerate this greatness of Gita. We would see that in the Dhyana Sloka, Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogda Gopala Nandanaha Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdam Gita Amrutam Mahatam. It's interesting to note here that cow is the living organism through which the raw materials such as grass, water, fodder get miraculously assimilated and converted into the milk. Similarly, Gita is helping us to squeeze out these Upanishadic mantras, Upanishadic complexities for ready absorption to the mankind. There is a great significance underlying the very joy in the metaphor itself. Milk is the food which is nutritive, which is healthy to not only the newborn baby, but also to the wrestler, to the sick man, or to the aged man, or for any one of us. In the same way, Gita is the textbook for all and everyone, every race, every culture, every creature who is born in this universe. Here, Arjuna was a calf of the cow, which is Upanishad itself, to pour out its milk, which is the best which can come out, which was then collected by the divine prophet, Lord Krishna himself. Though the cow pours out the milk to the calf, the milk so gathered is generally enjoyed by each one of us. Hence, the milk of the Upanishads, so gathered and preserved in the Gita, is to all, while facilitated by Arjuna himself. Harivom, thank you.
Thank you very much, Madhu sir, for those words of wisdom, combining the best of Krishna's teaching and your own vast experience in the worldly world. That was a really profound 10 minutes. How much of it were we able to grasp and absorb? That would have depended on how attentive we were and also by how much space we made in our own minds for the teaching to enter. It is only when we empty our minds of ego and preconceived notions and make ourselves fully available to the present moment that we allow life to flow through us. Just like the flute, Lord Krishna or Muralidhara's most cherished instrument. There is a story in the Puranas about Krishna's flute. Rukmini asked the flute, "What is the secret to Krishna keeping you so close to him always?" The flute replied, "I don't know. The one thing I do know is that I am empty. I do not have any inner blocks. I am ready for the Lord to take over me entirely." It is hardly a matter of coincidence that our next performance is a short flute recital by a Vidwan named Krishna Joshi. Vidwan Krishna Joshi is a student of Pandit Samir Raoji, who is in turn a student of the legendary Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurashia ji. Krishna ji is a banker by profession and a flautist by devotion, and he has given a number of performances in North Karnataka. Krishna sir, please. Thank you very much, respected sir. That was simply divine. The Devanama played was Pillangoviya Chellana Krishnana Yelli Nodidiri, composed by Sri Purandaradasaru, one of the greatest Krishna Bhakta composers of our time. Our next song is also a Devaranama by the great composer saint, titled Deva Bandhanamma Swami Bandhano Devara Deva Shikhamani Bandhano. Pandit Bhimsen Joshi has permanently etched the song in many music lovers' hearts. Let us now hear from our own Nightingale, Dr. Deeksha Nayak, an Ayurveda doctor, a singer, dancer, and an ardent student of Vedanta. Dr. Deeksha, please.
Hari Om. Deva Bandhanamma Swami Bandhano Devara Deva Shikhamani Bandhano Deva Bandhanamma Swami Bandhano Devara Deva Shikhamani Bandhano Puraga Shayana Bandha Garuda Gamana Puraga Shayana Bandha Garuda Gamana Naragolidava Bandha Narayana Bandhano Naragolidava Bandha Narayana Bandhano Deva Bandhanamma Swami Bandhano Devara Deva Shikhamani Bandhano Mandarodhara Bandha Garuda Gamana Bandha Mandarodhara Bandha Garuda Gamana Vrindavanapati Govinda Bandhano Vrindavanapati Govinda Bandhano Deva Bandhanamma Swami Bandhano Devara Deva Shikhamani Bandhano Nakraharano Bandha Chakradharano Bandha Nakraharano Bandha Chakradharano Bandha Akrura Golida Trivikramano Bandhano Deva Bandhanamma Swami Bandhano Devara Deva Shikhamani Bandhano Pakshi Vahana Bandha Lakshmana Graja Bandha Pakshi Vahana Bandha Lakshmana Graja Bandha Akshaya Phaladashi Lakshmi Ramana Bandhano Deva Bandhanamma Swami Bandhano Devara Deva Shikhamani Bandhano Nigama Gochara Bandha Nitya Traptano Bandha Nigama Gochara Bandha Nitya Traptano Bandha Naghimuka Purandara Vithalano Bandhano Naghimuka Purandara Vithalano Bandhano Deva Bandhanamma Swami Bandhano Devara Deva Shikhamani Bandhano Devara Deva Shikhamani Bandhano Devara Deva Shikhamani Bandhano.
Thank you very much, dear Deeksha, for that melodious rendering of this beautiful song. Thank you. Now we come to the climax of today's Gita Jayanti special. Lord Krishna, as mentioned in the beginning of today's session, lifts Arjuna's morale to pick up his bow and arrow and fight. He does this through several verses interspersed in different chapters. We now have the rare privilege of listening to all of Krishna's sacred assurances in the Gita, all at once by our own revered Guru. And these assurances are amplified because they will be given by none other than our respected Guru, Dr. Thimappa Hegde Sir, who has handheld us throughout our spiritual journey. Pranams and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Panaga. I will also use this as an opportunity to thank all those who made this beautiful Gita Jayanti program possible. Specifically, Venkatesh Prasad. Shri Venkatesh Prasad is extraordinary in his abilities, who visualizes the whole program and allows it to happen effortlessly. Madhu, all those who took part in today's session, and many people who worked in the background, like Shiv Kumar Yadalam and Shri Ullas. The Bhagavad Gita is a gospel. Gospel means it is spoken, these are the words of God, literally spelled out by God. And as students of the Gita, how do we listen to Gita? We listen to that with Shraddha. And Shraddha means whatever is spoken in the Gita is gospel truth. About that, I have absolutely no doubt. Life is hard for all of us, whoever you may be, wherever you may be. And when we go through difficulties, we have a wonderful manual in the Bhagavad Gita which keeps us so empowered through these hard times that whatever difficulty you go through, Shri Krishna in so many verses. I have selected a handful of verses, and these are also too many. I mean, these are so few, but I know the whole of the Bhagavad Gita is a series of assurances spoken to Arjuna, but when Arjuna means Bharata. Whenever he speaks of Bharata, it means all of us. We had a week-long retreat by Swami Anubhavanandaji, and it was a great privilege to be in close proximity with Shrotriya Brahmanishta, one who is anchored in the Bhagavan and one whose utterances are so true. And I had a chance to ask him, Swamiji, what is your message? It didn't take him a word to think, and this, I think, is the greatest message I have received. He said, be happy. Don't seek happiness, manifest happiness. We are all embodiments of happiness. We are all fountainheads of happiness, whether we know it or not. The more you seek happiness, happiness retreats from you. The more you understand who you are through the study of Vedanta and the Bhagavad Gita, you realize that each one of us are an embodiment of happiness, and that every opportunity in life should be a chance to express or manifest happiness. The opening teaching word of the Bhagavad Gita, which Swami Dayananda Saraswati gives a great importance to, is in the second chapter, 11th verse, which goes like this. Asocyan anvasochastvam prajna vadam sabhasase gatasun agatasuncha nanusochanti panditaha. The last line is very important. He says panditaha. Panditaha means those who are spiritually wise. Those who are spiritually wise do not grieve. Do not grieve under any circumstances. And some of the worst circumstances is Gata Asun. Asun means when the breath is gone. When the last breath has left the body, you have lost somebody whom you have lived with, whom you have loved. You may think it is natural that we must grieve. It is so. But then Sri Krishna tells us again and again, of course, it is natural if you consider yourself as a limited human being. But the Gita tells you again and again, you are not a limited human being. Gatasun agatasumcha. Sometimes it may be that the person may be a difficult person in your life. Even though if a person is a difficult person in your life, Gatasun agatasumcha. Under any circumstances, you do not have a right to grieve. Now, this is the central message, and the whole of the Gita brings about this message. Towards the beginning of the second chapter, that means verses 25 to 30, almost every verse, Shri Krishna Anusochitum arhasi. Do not grieve. Do not grieve. And sometimes he gives you reasons, but his message again and again, O Arjuna, and through Arjuna means all of us, do not grieve. Let us look at this verse 25. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaroyam uchate. Uchate, it is said to be that. What is our true nature? Our true nature as the real me, the Atma, is avyakta. Avyakta means you cannot make out through any of our sense organs. It is imperceptible. Achintyoyam, avikara. Achintyo means you cannot even imagine what it is. Avikara, it does not undergo any form of modification because it is infinite, and that which is infinite does not undergo any change. That means my real nature is infinite. Tasmad, therefore, evam vidit ainam. Vidit vainam. That means you must know this. What must you know? Nanu sochitum arhasi. Please do not grieve. You are not ordinary. You are not an ordinary human being. You are I am Atma, Brahma, and therefore, being Atma, you should not grieve. Let us go to the next verse. Ata chainyam nitya jatam. Now, let us consider you are a body. Now, for example, now to consider that I am the Atma becomes difficult. He says, okay, let me consider that I am born again. Nityam va manyase mritam. That means I am born and I die. So even if you consider you are this body which is being born and which dies, then he gives a logical, worldly reason. Tatapi tvam mahabhavo naivam sochitum arhase. Even if you consider that you are born and you are going to die, do not grieve, even in the circumstances. Why? We will explain that in the next verse. Let us see what is that the next verse is. And the next verse he says with a lot of conviction, Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu. Whoever is born will certainly die. Where is the reassurance verse? Dhruvam, certainly, he says, Janma mritasya cha. That means all those who die will be born once again. Tasmad, therefore, apariharyarte. That means if it is an inevitable situation, it is something that you cannot make any change about it. Natvam sochitum arhasi. Now, when a situation is inevitable, you have to learn to accept it. Swami Anubhavananda ji says, what cannot be changed, should not be endured. It should be enjoyed. Next verse, 28. It says, Avyaktadini bhutani. Vyakta madhyani bharata. That means, Avyakta adhini. In the beginning, it was unmanifest. Vyakta madhyani bharata. In the middle, it becomes manifest. Avyakta nidhananeva. Subsequently, it was unmanifest, it becomes manifest, and then becomes unmanifest. Tatraka paridevana. Paridevana is another word which means do not grieve. So there is another verse, immediately he says, see, our nature is like this. You are unmanifest, now we are manifest, then we become unmanifest. So when this is the nature, so please do not grieve. What is it? Now, he makes a distinction between Atma and Anatma by using the word Dehi and Deha. Deha means body. Dehi means the Atma, which is the indweller in all bodies. Dehi Nityam Avadyoyam. Avadyoyam means that which is indestructible. That means the indweller within the body is Nitya. It is there for all the time. In whom? Dehe Sarvasya Bharata. In every body. Tasmad Sarvani Bhutani Natvam Sochitum Arhasi. Therefore, the real you, which is the indweller in all the bodies, is indestructible. It is Nitya. So please do not grieve. This is again a message from Swami Anubhavanandaji. He says, as a student of Gita, you have lost the right to grieve. And if there is no grief, then be happy. Let us look at what are the ordinary causes. Why do we feel sorry? We feel sorry when people whom we love have moved away from our lives. When there are certain objects that we have enjoyed have been taken away from us. There are certain situations that we like, and those situations cease to be, and therefore we are sorrowful or unhappy. Sometimes it is because certain mistakes I have made. In the course of our life, we would have hurt somebody or we would have made some mistakes, which our tradition calls it as papaha. And therefore, we feel I am a papi. And because I have made mistakes, I don't have the right to face God. In the Isha Vasyopanishad, there is a very nice prayer, the Charama Shloka, which goes like this, the final one, the 18th verse, Agne Nayasupataraye Asman, O Agni, Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidwan. You know me, but I have done a lot of mistakes. And because I have done a lot of mistakes, I want you to forgive me. There is a sense of I have sinned, I have made some mistakes, and therefore I feel inadequate in your own presence. Let us see what are the reassuring verses Sri Krishna has for a person who is in such a state. Apiched, he says, even if apichedasi, in case, what in case of what? Papebhya sarvebhya, among all the sinners, papakrit tamaha, in case you consider yourself among all the sinners to be the worst of sinners. Then what he says, sarvam jnana plaveneva, that means through the boat of knowledge, vrijinam, which means the ocean, santarishyasi, santarishyasi. That means you through the boat of knowledge. What are we doing through the study of Bhagavad Gita? The Bhagavad Gita is knowledge. And this knowledge is a boat that will take you across, even if you consider yourself to be the worst among the sinners. So Shri Krishna reassures you, please do not grieve. We go to the 9th chapter. There are 2 verses dealing with a person who considers that I have done something wrong and therefore I am unhappy. Apichet su duracharu. Now, duracharu is somebody who has done something wrong. Apichet, in case a person who has done something wrong, bhajati mam, how? Mam, ananya bhak. Ananya bhak means one who's seeking me and me alone. Even if a person who's committed a lot of sin, but now has a seeker of me and is seeking me in such a way, ananya bhak, other than me, there is nothing else that he wants. Sadhur eva sa mantavyam. Mantavyam means she should be considered as a sadhu. Sadhu means a great person, a person whom you revere. Even if you have committed something wrong, we must consider such a person who is seeking me and me alone as a sadhu. Why? Samyak avyash samyag vyavashchito he saha, which means samyak. He has chosen, he has made a right choice. He has turned from the past and he has made a correct choice. For such a person should be considered as a sadhu. And the next verse goes like this. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Kshipram, very soon he becomes a dharmatma. Sashwan shantim digachati, and he will attain to what kind of peace? An everlasting peace. O Kaunteya, Kaunteya means to all of us. Pratijanihi, I'm going to give you a declaration. Look at these words of assurance. Shri Krishna gives you words of declaration. Name bhakta pranashyati. My devotees will not perish. My devotees will not suffer. Then there are 2 very beautiful verses, and that is how the whole Bhagavad Gita concludes. We are coming to the Charama Shloka, the concluding teaching verses of the Bhagavad Gita in the 18th chapter. And the 65th verse, which is goes like this: Man mana bhava, mad bhakto bhava, madhyaji mam namaskuru, mam eva vaishishasi satyam te pratijani priyosmi me. What does it mean? It says, Man Mana Baba. Keep your mind fixed on me. Mad Bhakta Baba. Be devoted to me. Madhyaji Mam. Worship me. Mam Namaskaru. Pay your reverence to me. Yeshasi. You will reach Mam Eva. Certainly you will reach me. Satyam. Truly. Prati Jane. I make this promise. Why? Priya Asmi me. You are extremely dear to me. The same thing with a slight change undergoes in the 9th chapter, the concluding verse of the 9th chapter. And then we come to the Charama Shloka, the final teaching verse and one of the most beautiful verses of the Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita concludes like this: Sarva Dharman Parityagya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Yasyasmi Ma Suchaha. Sarva Dharman Parityagya. Now this has to be interpreted correctly. It sounds like giving up all dharma. And Shri Krishna does not want us to give up any dharma. Yada yada hi dharmasya jnanir bhavati. Whenever dharma comes down, I will come back. So he does not want us to give up dharma. Adi Shankara has interpreted dharma as karma. Why? Whenever you do any karma, that will incur punya or papa. So now give up that need for acquiring punya or papa. That means give up all karmas. And how do we give up all karma? There is a nice verse in the 2nd chapter. Buddhi yukto jahatiha ube sukrute dushkrute. That means you have to do karma in such a way that will never incur punya or papa. And how do you do karma in such a way? There is no sense of I am doing it. And that is the meaning of this beautiful Sarva Dharman Parityagya. Give up all sense of doership, all sense of I'm doing any form of punya. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. This has been interpreted by Swamiji as ekam. Come to the binary format. Come to the understanding of ekam. Surrender to the one, the Advaita Brahman. Discover your unity with that. I am Atma Brahma. This is the Mahavakya. Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyaha. All your sins and all your accounts are taken, because now there is a complete body disidentification. And when it is the body that goes through punya and papa, and therefore all your karma accounts, that is the cloud data, the sanchita is gone, agami will not happen, prarabdha has to go through. So all your karmas I will take away. Moksha yasyami masuchaha. Please do not grieve, because I will be able to give you whatever you want. I will give you moksha. Shri Gurubhyo Namah. I have one more verse, one more slide. And this is again a message of Swami Anubhavanandaji. Swami Anubhavanandaji again says, don't search for happiness. Manifest happiness. The time to be happy is now. The place to be happy is here. And is there a technique? He says there is no technique. There is no way to be happy. Just be happy and to create a heaven right here. I will leave you with 2 words. One word is Rama. The word Rama means to revel, to be celebrative, to be so happy just like that. And what is the meaning of the word Arama? It's just to be able to manifest happiness all around. Wherever you are an embodiment of happiness. You radiate happiness. Shri Gurubhyo Namah.
Thank you very much, sir, for that highly invigorating and inspiring talk, reminding us of our own immortality and giving us the strength to shed our limitations and just be happy. We are indeed blessed to be under your benevolent tutelage. Thank you, sir. We conclude today's session with the chanting of a few select verses from the Mukunda Mala Stotra. The Mukunda Mala Stotra, meaning the collection of verses as flowers offered to Mukunda, is a classic text coming from the Sri Sampradaya. In this tradition, there are 12 Alvars, who were Tamil devotional poets who dedicated their lives to singing and chanting the glories of the Lord. Raja Kulashekara, the composer of the Mukundamala Stotra, was one of the 12 Alvads. This text was written in Sanskrit and expresses Raja Kulashekara's devotion to Lord Krishna. I invite our dearest Shamla Shetty ma'am, a pillar of Param Vedanta, who personifies the statement, simplicity is the highest sophistication. Shamla ma'am, please.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namah. घुष्यते यस्य नगरे रङ्गयात्रा दिने दिने तमहं शिरसा वन्दे राजानं कुलशेखरम् श्रीवल्लभेति वरदेति दयापरेति भक्तप्रियेति भवलुण्ठनको विदेति नाथेति नागशयनेति जगन्निवासेति आलापिनं प्रतिपदं कुरु मां मुकुन्द जयतु जयतु देवो देवकीनन्दनोऽयं जयतु जयतु कृष्णो वृष्णिवंशप्रदीपः जयतु जयतु मेघश्यामलः कोमलाङ्गो जयतु जयतु पृथ्वी भारनाशो मुकुन्दः मुकुन्दमूर्ध्ना प्रणिपत्य याचे भवन्तमेकान्तमियन्तमर्थम् अविस्मृतिस्त्वच्छरणारविन्दे भवे भवे मेस्तु भवत्प्रसादात् नाहं वन्दे तव चरणयोर्द्वन्द्वमद्वन्द्वहेतो कुम्भीपाकं गुरुमपि हरे नारकं नापनेतुम् रम्या रामा मृदुतनुलता नन्दनेनापि रन्तुम् भावे भावे हृदय भवने भावयेयं भवन्तम् नास्था धर्मे नवसु निचये नैव कामोपभोगे यद्यद्भाव्यं भवतु भगवन् पूर्वकर्मानुरूपम् एतत्पार्थ्यं मम बहुमत जन्म जन्मान्तरेऽपि त्वत्पादाम्भोरुहयुगगता निश्चला भक्तिरस्तु नमामि नारायणपादपङ्कजं करोमि नारायणपूजनं सदा वदामि नारायण नाम निर्मलं स्मरामि नारायण तत्त्वमव्ययम् श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेवा श्रीकृष्ण भक्त प्रिय चक्रपाणे श्रीपद्मनाभाच्युत कैटभारे श्रीराम पद्माक्ष हरे मुरारे अनंत वैकुंठ मुकुंद कृष्णा गोविंद दामोदर माधवेति वक्तुं समर्थोऽपि न वक्ति कश्चित् अहो जनानां व्यसनाभिमुख्यम् ध्यायन्ति ये विष्णुमनन्तमव्ययम् हृत्पद्ममध्ये सततं व्यवस्थितम् समाहितानां सतताभयप्रदम् ते यान्ति सिद्धिं परमाञ्च वैष्णवीम् क्षीरसागर तरङ्गशीकरा सारतारकितचारुमूर्तये भोगि भोगि शयनीय शायिने माधवाय मधुविद्विषे नमः यस्य प्रियौ श्रुतिधरौ कविलोकवीरौ मित्रे द्विजन्मवरपद्मशरावभूताम् तेनाम्बुजाक्षचरणाम्बुजषट्पदेन राज्ञा कृता कृतिरियं कुलशेखरेण राज्ञा कृता कृतिरियं कुलशेखरेण.
Many thanks, dear Shamla ma'am, for this powerful, reverberating chant of the wonderful Mukunda Mala Stotra. Thank you very much. Dear friends, with this we come to the end of today's Gita Jayanti special. We are blessed with Manushyatvam, this human birth, Mumukshutvam, a keen desire for moksha, and the grace of a Mahapurusha. All are Shrotriya Brahmanishta Gurus. With our sincere effort, we are sure to invoke the Lord's grace to lead us from this roller coaster life to the uninterrupted calm of Jivan Mukti. Before we close, as all of you are aware, Param Vedanta has been offering Guru Dakshina to all our Gurus twice a year, once during Guru Purnima and again during Gita Jayanti. You have been a part of this offering all through, and we are indeed grateful to you. The window is now open for us to offer our gratitude to the lotus feet of our Gurus. I am sure you will join us in this Guru Seva as always. Needless to mention, the decision to donate is entirely voluntary. The entire amount of your offering thus collected will reach our Gurus. The mode of payment and account details are displayed on the screen and will be shared on all the groups. The details of Guru Dakshina thus collected will be shared with you all. Thank you very much for being with us on this divine journey. We will end the session with our Shanti Patha. A great master once said, "Let all the Upanishads disappear from the face of the earth. I don't mind, so long as this one verse remains." This is the essence of the Gita, that we are complete and whole. With each chanting, let us reaffirm that we are completely and absolutely fulfilled. Purnaha. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you.